Cardinal Cupich, thank you so much for joining us. We understand that the College of Cardinals, you and Pope Leo had your first meetings this weekend since he was chosen as the new Holy Father. And in his public remarks, he spoke of Pope Francis's complete dedication to service and to sober simplicity of life, and called for all of you to take up his precious legacy and continue on that journey. What does that mean to you and to the Church?
Well, I think it puts in the forefront that we really are to be at the service of the people of God that we've been entrusted to care for. And so it is not about being self-referential and taking care of ourselves, but first of all to focus our attention on the needs of people in everyday life, and something that I've tried to do over the more than a quarter century that I've been a bishop and 50 years as a priest.
We know that one of the things he discussed with all of you is concerns about artificial intelligence, saying that it is one of the critical issues facing humanity. Did he explain why?
Well, I think he did it. He said that in the context of linking to the work of Leo XIII during the moment of the Industrial Revolution, saw that as a new era. And so he sees this opportunity right now of his service as Leo XIV to take up the challenge of a new technology, namely artificial intelligence, and what that means to humanity. I think we're going to hear more about that from him, but he offered those remarks to give us an idea that he sees that we are at a new moment in history, and that the Church has to be sensitive and aware of what's going on.
I imagine this will be the subject of great prayer and reflection by him and by all of you, but what possibly could the Catholic Church do to regulate or police or control the use of artificial intelligence?
I think it's probably up to legislators to put in measures that regulate. I think what we can do is to speak to the moral and human issues that are involved as this technology develops. How is it that we can continue to preserve our humanity and also grow in it? I think there are some wonderful opportunities for artificial intelligence, but also some challenges that are unforeseen. The measuring rod has to be, however, what does it do to our human nature? What does it do to our ability to act in a very human way? Those questions, I think, we are very well versed in to be able to speak to and offer the world some advice.
You know, anytime a priest, a bishop, a cardinal begins a mass, you always begin by saying, "Peace be with you." And it was one of the first things he said from the balcony there in St. Peter's Square when he greeted the crowd. I'm curious, as Pope, what does he make of this world on fire, and what can he possibly do to bring peace to the world?
Well, he mentioned that those words were the first words of the risen Christ. And so he wanted to make sure that we as a church presented to the world the opportunity to bring a kind of peace that begins in each one of our hearts. We do see, as Pope Francis said, a world war that's being fought piecemeal. And so my hope would be that he would be an agent of peace, looking for ways in which humanity can be challenged to look for ways in which the differences that we have can be resolved in a peaceful way. You know, the other thing that comes to mind here is that the cardinals came to a decision in just 24 hours. Here we were over 130 men representing over 70 nations, and we were able, despite all of the differences that we have in language and culture, to come to a decision in a unified way. Hopefully that is a sign that the world also can work out its difficulties and differences in a way that's peaceful and that unites humanity.
We know he's someone who has spoken out and has tweeted his concerns about immigration and climate change and other issues facing the world. Do we anticipate that he'll continue Francis's legacy of weighing in on global politics? And is he perhaps calling on all of you as his brother cardinals to do the same?
Yes, I think that he feels an obligation, as I think popes have in the modern era to speak to the issues of the day. Because we live in a world in which there are real challenges globally. There is, I think, a fresh moment for us to examine what are the human dimensions of immigration. How do we see global warming impacting us? How the issues related to the sufferings of humanity should impact all of us and make all of us aware and participate in solutions. Yes, I think he's going to be a voice for all of those things simply because we're talking about, in many ways, the survival of the human race.
I know the issue of immigration is especially acute and a controversial subject in this country. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops and the administration have differed on various aspects of what it's doing to enforce immigration law. Do you anticipate him more actively steering you guys in how exactly you should address this with the Trump administration, or do you just continue on as has been the case over the last several months?
Well, we've always said that every country has an obligation and a right to defend its borders. What we've advocated for many years is a comprehensive immigration plan. I think if we had that and the legislators took up that task, we wouldn't be having the difficulties we have today. So our main focus is how do we fix a broken system? And at the same time, until that happens, how do we, in a very human way, address those who have come into our country seeking a better life and also fleeing the violence that is perpetrated by a drug trade and also an arms trade across our borders that in many ways bring violence to different parts of the world, especially in South and Central America, that we're also responsible for.
You know, Your Eminence, it is Mother's Day, and I'm curious, what responsibility does the Catholic Church have to women right now?
Well, it's a great opportunity to wish all mothers a happy Mother's Day. I remember fondly the wonderful way in which my own mother shepherded our family and worked with my father to raise 9 children. I think the important aspect this was begun in many ways by Pope Francis is to recognize the gifts and talents of women. They have to be equal partners in offering leadership in the life of the church, also that their voice is heard. They come at life differently through their own experience and enrich the discussion. I've always felt that way. Of course, I've learned well because I have 5 sisters who have taught me that.
And I've got 2, so I know what you mean there. But you say there women should be equal partners, but the issue of women ever serving as deacons or priests, of course, is one that even Pope Leo disagrees with. Is this a settled issue, that there will never be that, but that he perhaps continues the elevation of women in other Vatican leadership positions?
Well, yes, because I think that what the question comes down to is how do we give a place in the life of the church, especially in leadership, and also to have the wisdom of women brought forward in the life of the church. Pope Francis has done that in making, for instance, the governor of Vatican City for the first time a woman who's the head of a major dicastery for religious, so for men and women. And so he has looked for ways in which the very gifts and talents of women can be put to the service of the life of the church. And I think also he was very much, Pope Francis was very much aware of the fact that we don't necessarily have to join together holy orders and authority and power in the life of the church. There is room for women to exercise authority in the life of the church. And he's opened the door, and I am very sure that Pope Leo XIV will do the same.
There's been some examination of his views on Pope Francis's call a few years ago to allow the blessing of same-sex unions to some extent, not full marriage recognition, but a blessing of the existence of them or that people are in them. But when he was in his old position overseeing bishops, he essentially suggested, if I'm reading it right, that one size may not fit all, and that every country or region may need to figure out how exactly to address that issue for itself, given that, for example, in Africa, homosexuality is treated far differently than it is in other parts of the world. Is that where this issue is still headed, you believe?
Well, I think that, just to be clear, what the documents of the Church under Pope Francis said was that individuals can receive a blessing no matter what their status in life is, because it was an opportunity for them to ask for God's grace in their life. And so that involves people in very different situations in terms of their marriage, whether that their marriage is in the church or not, same-sex individuals, people also who are in polygamous unions, which is very present in different parts of the world. So it was about how God's grace is being asked for from the church by an individual who would like to have that opportunity for the help of God to take the journey of life forward for each one of them. That's really what it was about, and it's going to have to be played out in different ways depending on the culture of people.
All right, let's get to the question that I think is on the minds of many Americans still. We can't quite fathom the fact that an American is now Pope. You've known him for many years. Both of you are sons of the Midwest. He's from the south side of Chicago. You were born in Omaha. You're now the Cardinal of Chicago. How do you believe his papacy is going to be shaped by his Midwest roots?
Well, first of all, we should be very proud in Chicago that we produced a Pope. From the culture and the environment that we have in Chicago, we're very proud of. We're a group of people that take seriously our commitments to one another. We're people that are very loyal. We also are hard workers and unafraid to take up challenges. We're the city of big shoulders, as the poet said. So I think that he now has a lot on his shoulders, and having been born in the city of big shoulders, I think he's up to the task. But I also don't want to underplay the fact that he's been shaped in his experience of living in Peru. The people in Peru consider him their Pope, their compatriot, as he's also a citizen of Peru. And also he's lived on the continent in Europe, 12 years here in Rome. So I think he's been shaped by all of that, but we'll take pride in the fact that it all started in Chicago.
When you realized that he was going to become Pope, as you're sitting there in the conclave, what did you think?
I thought this is going to be a wonderful decision, that we have selected an individual who checks all the boxes. I think we wanted someone who had international experience, who was multilingual, as he is. Somebody also had pastoral experience, really as a bishop, a diocesan bishop, but also someone who had the reputation of listening. We saw that first and foremost this weekend when he talked to the cardinals. He just wanted us to talk to him. And he's an affable person. He's just a very nice person to be with. So all of those seem to just fit the profile that we were looking for. So it dawned on me that we should not be surprised that he was selected, because the things that we talked about in the general congregation beforehand were all about the traits that he has.
And if a year from now we're trying to measure the Leo effect, maybe specifically on the American Catholic Church, how are we going to know that it was a success or a failure so far? Well,
I think that let's give him time. You know, maybe a year is too quick of a time period to make that assessment. It's a relationship that's going to grow, and I think that someone who speaks like an American to Americans is going to be an opportunity, a fresh opportunity, to reintroduce the social teachings of the Church in a way that's going to make us take a second look at all of that as Catholics in the United States. that's what I'm looking forward to. He spoke this weekend in English at the beginning of the Mass, and also in conversations that we've had with him. I think that's going to go down really well with people in the United States.
And how soon do we think he'll visit?
Well, it probably won't be the first one, but we're going to do some heavy lobbying for Chicago to be on the itinerary when he comes to the United States.
I would think he would stop by. Why wouldn't he? Cardinal Blase Cupich of Chicago, the Windy City, congratulations, and thank you for spending some time with us this weekend. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Ed, for having me. I appreciate it.